Let's get it. Parak Yud, 10th chapter of the book of Tehillim, is continuation in many ways of the book of the 9th chapter. I didn't point it out at the 9th chapter that it starts with it's a lot of the orders of the Aleph bet in this chapter. Back in chapter 9, Odeh Hashem b'chol libi, and 4, B'shuv oivai, Pasuk 6 back in the 9th chapter, Ga'arta goyim. So there's the Aleph Bet Gimel it starts with, and other things in this chapter, which we'll read, the 10th chapter, is going to end with the end of the Aleph Bet. Back at towards the end of the chapter, I'm just, and then we'll start from the beginning. When we get to Pasuk verse 12, Kuma Hashem, and then in Pasuk 14, we have Ra'ita, and in Pasuk 15, we have Shvor Zeroah. So we have in 17 is Tavat Anavim. So those who say that these chapters 9 and 10 maybe at one point in time was one single chapter. So let's begin actually now with inside the 10th chapter. And it's one where, once again, the psalmist, we'll see this over the next couple of chapters, is asking God, where are you? Lama Adonai tamod barachok talim li tot batzara. Why, God, do you stand afar? Why do you hide, right, in times of trouble? You're hidden from me. B'ga'avat rasha yidlak ani yitpisu b'mizmarot zu chashavu. The wicked in his arrogance hounds the lowly. May they be caught in their traps that they devise. We talked about this, and we'll see this over these chapters, this idea of setting traps, which the wicked will fall into themselves. They made the pit. We talked about the gallows of that Haman made for Mordechai as the easiest example of it, and then he's hanged on them himself. And so we have a lot of the traps that are set by the wicked. Will we fall for them? Will they fall into it themselves? Continuing verse 3, Ki Hillel Rashal Tavat Nafsho Votzea Berech Niatz Adonai. The wicked crows about his lusts. The cheating man reviles and scorns God, right? Doesn't think that anything's going to happen to him. Rasha, we're in verse 4, Gova Apo Bal Yidrosh Ein Elohim Kol Mizmotav. The wicked, the arrogant, the one who's so Gova, who thinks he's so great. What does he say? There's no God. God does not care. And by saying God here, we see the word Elohim. Elohim generally refers to the idea of God as a judge. So there's no judge. I could do what I want. There might be some sort of being who created the world, maybe peers down on the world, but he doesn't do anything. His ways, what he does is he prospers all the time. And your mishpat, your judgments, God, your judging of the world are far removed for him. He snorts at them. He laughs at them. Yafiach, he blows wind at them. Amar belibo, he says to himself, Balemot, nothing bad's going to happen to me. Ledor vador asher lovera. From this generation to the next, for all times, nothing will be problematic for me. I'm gaining an incredible amount of wealth through my lying, through my cheating, through all of these terrible, all these wrong behaviors. And my kids, they will not see Raz generally the way that it's understood. My descendants will be taken care of generational wealth or something through scheming and through lying. God, you're not here to judge me. Allah pihu, we're in verse 7, Malei umirmot vatoch, tachat lishono amel va'aven. His mouth is full of oaths, full of lies, full of fraud, full of deceit. That word toch is a word that's difficult. Tachat lishono, under his tongue, are evil and mischief. And those who say, with the idea of tachat, under his tongue, that it's hidden. It makes me think of, right, the world. There are those who are saying for 30 years, for 50 years, for 75 years, the Jews thought that anti-Semitism was dead. But it really was tachat lishono, was under the tongue, and it has unfortunately come out in the last number of months in ways that we have not seen it, thankfully at least, in many in decades. And so under his tongue, he has these ideas, he has these schemes, he has these plots, whether it be the nations against Israel, whether it be a wicked person against a righteous person. We talked many times about Tehillim is very often in the singular. It's about individuals writing. It's about the person who wrote the Tehillim, but it can be about that individual. The individual nature can also be understood as being about the public. Continuing in verse 8, Yeshev ma'arav chatzerim b'mistarim yarog naki einav lechelcha yitzponu. He lurks in outlying place. From a hidden place, he slays the innocent. His eyes spy out those who are hapless, those who are innocent. Again, the same thing, hiding, waiting for that moment. When can I come out with my full views of anti-Semitism? When can I come and attack the wicked? When is it opportune time to cheat, to lie, to steal, to kill, etc., etc.? When can I do that? It's not always possible. The police sometimes are looking. Ya'arov ba'mistar ka'aryeh v'suko ya'arov lachtof ani yachtof ani b'moshcho v'rishto. He waits in hiding like a lion in its lair. He waits to seize the ani, the poor, the lowly. He seizes the lowly as he closes his nut shet, as he closes his net, shut upon them. Yidkeh, yasoach v'nafal ba'atzumav chel ka'im. He stoops, he crouches, and the hapless fall prey to his strength. Again, the hiddenness, the secretness under his tongue, hidden away. Amar b'libo, again, what does he say? Shachachel. What does he say? God has forgiven. God has forgotten. God is not thinking about this. Histir panav balra ala netzach. He hides his face. He never looks la netzach forever. God is hiding. We had the word netzach in the previous chapter as well. We'll see. That's one of these words that's coming up between the different chapters. And then we get to the part that I talked about that maybe is the continuation from the earlier chapter. Now we have the kuf. Kuma Adonai el niso yadecha al tishkach anavim. Rise, God, strike at him. Don't forget the lowly. Earlier, we had the idea of him attacking the lowly, the ani, back in verse 9. And here we're saying, God, don't forget the lowly. Don't forget whether it's read as anavim, which means lowly. It's spelled aniyim, which means poor. But, they are together. Almeh, we're in verse 13. Why should the wicked man curse God, scorn God, not be fearful of God? Thinking that God does not look into things. God is lo tidrosh, and that's one of the words we have in these chapters as well. The idea of doresh, of searching out God, seeking out God. Here we're saying God does not search out. That's what the wicked man is saying. Do whatever I want. There's no less din, less dayan. There is no judgment. There's no judge. I can do what I want. There's no reward and punishment. Why should he be able to say that? Why is there no judgment for him, is what the author of this capital of this chapter of Tehillim is saying. Ra'ita ki ata amal, v'cha'as tabit latet biyadecha lecha yazov chelecha yatoma tahayita ozer. God, you do look, you take note, you get angry over the evil, the mistreating of the wicked, and you have the power to avenge. You have the power to judge and to punish these people. And so those who are weak, who put their trust in you, you have to help them. You have to help the orphan, the widow. You have to help those who cannot protect themselves against the wicked and their evil plots. Continuing 15. Pasuk Tedvav, Shavor Zero, Rasha, Verat, Tidrosh, Risho, Bal Timsa. Break the power of the wicked man. Break the power of evil, right? Break his zroa, his arm. So that Verat Tidrosh Risho Bal Timsa, so that when you look for his wickedness, you will find it no more. Right? And there, right, just a few verses back, the Rasha said, God is lo tidrosh. God does not pay attention. God does not see. God is watching, but isn't going to do anything to me for all of my wickedness. There's no judge. And here, the author of this capital is saying, God, no, be doresh, seek, look, investigate, and see the terrible things that this person has done, and let us not see it anymore. Pasuk Tet Zayin Adonai Melech Olam Va'ed Avdu Goyim Me'artzo. The Lord is king forever and ever. The nations will perish from his hand. And it's almost like it's saying, to me, this verse is saying God will be the king forever when the evil nations, it doesn't say evil, but presumably that's the understanding, perish from his land. God is not seen forever as long as there's wickedness. Doesn't make sense. This world, what do you mean? There's one God, there's one rule, there's one justice, there's an equitable God in this world. How can that be with all of the horrors? When it's Avdu Goyim Me'artzo, when the horrible nations are lost, are gone, are taken care of from his land, then we'll see that God reigns forever. Ta'avat anavim shamat Adonai, tachin libam, takshiv oznecha. You listen, we know that you listen to the sound of the lowly, of the anavim. So listen to them, prepare their hearts, turn your ears towards them, God, to do what? Lishpot yatom vadach, Bal Yosif Od La'arotz Enosh Mina Aretz, to champion, to be the judge for the orphan, and the dach, yeah, difficult word, but we'll say the English that I have is the downtrodden, so that they are not tyrannized anymore, and that the evil is gone from this earth. And there's sort of a little bit in this capital, the sadness over the prospering of the wicked, of the evil, and the hope in the chapter that we will see God. If we want Adir Bamarom Hashem, if we want to understand that God, as we said in previous chapters, is Bamarom, it is glorious. How is God's name shown and able to be glorious? It's only when there's true justice in this world. It's only when we're able to see God's justice that we can understand that there is with that justice, with that destruction of wickedness, with the righteous inheriting the earth and prospering, then we'll know that God does reign forever and ever.